Yo, what's up with it, y'all? It's JD, Travelsthenix, and I'm back with another quick video. In today's video, I just want to discuss some of the character traits of a toxic female. So most of the time when I make videos, I'm usually making them based on my personal experience or experiences that I've witnessed or things that I may have observed in the past or currently going on. And this video today is basically going to be on 3 experiences that I've observed or kind of been around over the past week or so, and it involves toxic females. So before we get into the video, as always, if you're interested in travel, fitness, overall growth content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can get updated every time I drop new content. Recently I haven't been dropping too much content because I've been working on my website, been putting some things together with that. So if you guys are interested in any personal training from myself, that's what I do. My channel is, like I said, travel, fitness, and overall growth, but the fitness is a huge component. If you guys are interested in any personalized online training programs for myself, or if you guys just want to buy some of my training programs that I already have put together, I have different price points for all these different training programs. Also, I do diet coaching, diet consultation, intermittent fasting coaching, so on and so forth. I recommend you guys go to my website. That's Travelsthenix.com. You guys can book a free consultation with myself so I can help you guys get on the road to being the best physical version of yourself, the most aesthetic version of yourself, and the healthiest version of yourself. So let's get back into the video. So the first example I want to talk about is a social media example that I kind of ran into maybe about a week and a half ago. I was on social media, kind of just scrolling through my Instagram stories, and anyways guys, so I was on social media kind of scrolling through my Instagram stories, and a story popped up with a dude who I follow, and I train with him sometimes. I don't really train, he's not really like my homeboy like that, but I train with him every once in a while down at the park. He does calisthenics. Younger dude, probably about 21 years old, and he had reposted a post that his girlfriend had posted on Instagram, and the post was a picture of some donuts, and he was tagged in it, and the girl had written on the post, "Having breakfast with my wife." So basically she called him her wife. So basically what she did was just flip the gender roles, put him in the woman's role, basically letting everybody know that she's the dominant one in that relationship, and that she's basically treating him like a bitch. So she's basically making him the broad in the relationship. He's the wife and she's the husband. So this is toxic on hella different levels, just on the strength that a lot of these women actually want to be men and they're always competing with men. So anytime you get around a woman who wants to flip the gender roles or who wants to compete with you on that level, or in this dude's case, basically announce to the world and tell him that he's the woman, then you want to leave that woman alone 100% of the time. That's actually a common theme with a lot of these new age females who, kind of have these strange different belief systems and just want to buck the trend on anything and everything that goes on in their life, and they kind of just want to make their own rules. So you really don't want to be with a woman who actually wants to be a man. And in this dude's case, unfortunately for him, his girlfriend wants to be the dominant one in the relationship, and she actually is calling him the wife, and she wants to take the role as the husband for whatever that means, and for whatever, that relationship is probably bound to fail anyways. Just on the stuff that I've seen, I kind of went down a rabbit hole and kind of checked out both of their profiles, and it just, I don't know, that's none of my business. But I will comment on that gender role reversal that she tried to pull right there on that one. Unfortunately for that dude, his girl is trying to flip the gender roles, and she put him in the submissive position, and she took the dominant position, and apparently that dude doesn't really have a problem with it because he actually reposted the original post that she made about her having breakfast with her wife, which is him. Now, another example that I ran into recently, I was at the beach, and I just got finished with a workout, so I put my towel down next to a group of females, They seemed like they was all maybe between the ages of like 20 to 22, 23 years old. Some of them, or maybe all of them, were students at University of Hawaii. And I was just chilling, kind of relaxing. I didn't have my earphones in at the time, and I kind of was just overhearing their conversation. And their whole conversation was about sugar baby, sugar daddy websites, and how basically they all were talking about how they were checking out the things that these older gentlemen or these older men were offering younger women on these sugar baby, sugar daddy websites. I'm not really sure what the name of those websites are, but basically a bunch of older tricks get on these websites because they want to accompany these younger women. And a lot of these girls were like, oh yeah, it's nothing really wrong with it, you know, it's cool if you get on the sugar baby website, because all these dudes, they don't really want that much, you know, they just want this or that, and you know, they'll cash you out or they'll give you gifts or yada yada yada, whatever the situation may be. And for me personally, I look at that as fairly disturbing, because a lot of these girls are, you know, what, 19, 20, 21, maybe even younger than that, getting on these websites. And essentially what these websites are is prostitution. Whether you want to say it's escorting or whether you want to put a more mild term onto it, but it's them selling their bodies, selling their time, you know what I mean? And it's basically low-level prostitution. They don't have a pimp, they're not on a street corner, they're not doing all that, but at the end of the day, they still prostituting themselves. And I've heard this not just in that circumstance, I've actually heard this a lot, that a lot of younger women are open to doing the sugar baby, sugar daddy thing, which is pretty disturbing, because at the end of the day, you have to look at it and you have to think that eventually these women are gonna get, you know, 25, 26, 27, maybe 30 years old, and they're not going to really be able to rely on their youth and their looks like that. So they're eventually going to want to settle down with somebody who's, you know, just a normal dude, and, you know, somebody who they can kind of build their life with. But at the end of the day, if they participated in this sugar baby, sugar daddy stuff, the dude who they're messing with in the future doesn't really know that he's dealing with an ex-prostitute, or basically it could be a current prostitute, because, you know, these type of behaviors don't really just go away, and these girls don't really value themselves to the point where they're willing to sell their body, which is pretty disturbing. Obviously, you never really know what your girlfriend or what your woman has done in the past. Nobody's a mind reader, but there are red flags that can basically give you hints to what type of person that you're dealing with. And for me personally, my best method to find out what type of person I'm dealing with and what type of things people have done in the past is just to pretend that I'm completely open to anything and that I'm non-judgmental on anything. You know, so basically when you first meet a woman, you just have to play that non-judgmental role. Like, oh, you know, there ain't really nothing wrong with that. You know, oh, okay, you did that. Oh, yeah, that ain't no big deal. And the more that you do that, the more that people will let their guard down. So eventually, once they let their guard down enough, they'll feel open and honest enough to tell you anything. And there, when you got them in like that, you can know exactly what type of person you're dealing with. So you got to kind of play that role and figure out what these women are all about, because if you don't, and you come off the rip and say, oh yeah, I'm not into this and this and that, when you're first getting to meet somebody, you kind of have to feel somebody out, because if you come off the rip and are too kind of stern and too staunch in your beliefs, that people won't feel open and won't feel comfortable actually telling you about themselves, and you actually can miss out on a lot of red flags that way. But anyways, I got one more situation I want to share with you guys in terms of overhearing conversations from these toxic females. I was at the Calisthenics park maybe about 4 or 5 days ago, and these two females came to the park. Never seen them before in my life. Most of the time, there's actually not really too many women who come and work out calisthenics. And most of the time when they do come, if there is a woman who comes to the calisthenics park, they're usually pretty serious, not really paying attention to anybody else, and they're usually just getting their workout on. But these two girls just seemed like they were there for recreation, weren't really serious about training. It seemed like they were trying to do some pull-ups, couldn't really do them. But anyways, I was just kind of, they were actually talking so loud. I usually come to the park with a speaker. I was playing my music extremely loud that day, and it seemed like they were trying to talk so loud that they wanted me to hear their conversation. But anyways, what they were talking about, one of the chicks, she was basically telling the other girl about how annoying her boyfriend has been, and he's been so annoying because she was trying to tell the dude that she didn't want to be in a committed, or what did she say? Well, I'm trying to figure out how she had worded this. Oh, the way that she worded it was that she was telling him that she didn't want to be exclusive with him. So she wanted to be in a relationship with him, but she didn't want to be exclusive. So she didn't want to be monogamous. So basically, the dude kind of was bucking back at her and was like, what do you mean you don't want to be in a monogamous relationship? You're my girl, you know what I mean? But his response wasn't what she wanted, so she was telling her friend how annoying it was, and then she was telling him that he should read this book called The Ethical Slut. And I've actually heard of this book before, and from my understanding of what I've actually read about that book is about polyamory, which is basically open relationships. And in polyamory, from what I've noticed, it usually favors the woman, and the woman is usually the dominant person in those relationships. So you have to kind of think about it like this. If you're in an open relationship and you're in an open relationship with your girl, unless you're some super high status dude, you know what I mean, some rich millionaire dude, the woman is always going to have the upper hand in these open relationships because it's so much easier for the average female to find a sexual partner than the average male to find a sexual partner. So it doesn't matter if the man is the better looking person, or you know, the man is this or that or has money. It really doesn't matter because pretty much any woman can get sex fairly easy. So if you take, for instance, myself, who, you know, I consider myself to be in good shape, decent looking dude, you know what I mean, above average looking guy, at least that's what I like to think of myself. And you take a woman who's obese, not very good looking, and you put us both on a dating website or one of these dating apps or whatever, I guarantee you it's going to be a lot easier for that woman to get some, you know, one night stands or some casual sex, opposed to it is for me, because a lot of men just are so horny they're willing to sleep with any woman, you know what I mean? But women, on the other hand, have a lot of options when it comes down to sleeping with men. So for me, if I was to reach out to a woman on one of these dating apps and, you know, come at her with some like extremely forward messages or whatever, I might get blocked on the site, and 9 times out of 10 the girl's gonna be like, hell no, you know. But on the other end, if a woman is to do the exact same thing, even a woman who's not even very attractive to a man, most men are gonna be like, this girl's like kind of throwing it at me, let me, you know, I mean, I wouldn't mind smashing, you know what I mean? Because I mean, we all been there. We all smashed some chick that, you know, we wouldn't tell nobody about, or we've all smashed some chick that we wasn't necessarily proud that we didn't smash before. It was just kind of one of those things where we just kind of might have been on a dry street and we was like, all right, I'll take that down. You know, she throwing it at me, I'll take it down. But anyways, that's just my point in terms of that. But back to the original scenario with these two girls. One of the girls, the girl who was telling her boyfriend to read that book, The Ethical Slut, was basically saying, you know, after he had read the book, you know, he was getting a little bit less annoying, but he was still annoying, and this, that, and the other. So basically it just sounded like she wasn't even feeling the dude, but she just wanted him around as an option while she can go sleep with whoever else she wanted. And this dude probably wasn't even getting no tail on the side. It was probably just a situation where if he wanted to be with her, he had to kind of play by her rules, and she could sleep around and do whatever she wanted to do, and he was just there cleaning up the leftovers, which is pretty disgusting, pretty sad. If any girl or any female tells you that they want to be in an open relationship, any of this polyamory BS, it's a power play on their part. So most of the time when these women are open to stuff like that, you know, it's a power play. So at the end of the day, polyamory just doesn't really seem like something that even works in my own thought process, just because you have to think of it like this. Jealousy is a natural human emotion. So if you're going to be in an open relationship, it's only natural that you're going to be jealous of your partner sleeping with somebody else, or you know, being physical with somebody else, or spending time and building an emotional connection with somebody else. So if you have women who don't get jealous, and you have women, and you have, you know, people who don't have that emotion to the point where they don't care if you're sleeping with whoever you want to sleep with, and, you know, they quote unquote want to be an ethical slut or whatever that means, because I mean, in my opinion, there's no such thing as an ethical slut. If you're dealing with a woman like that, that means she's probably mentally fractured. There's probably something wrong with her upstairs. Actually, probably 99.9% of the time, if not 100% of the time, there's something wrong with that woman upstairs. People like that who don't really have emotion, I think they have a word for that. It might be a sociopath. So you have people who are pretty callous, and they might be dealing with some type of trauma that might have happened to them when they were a child, or some type of trauma that's happened to them over their life, to the point where it will make them even want to get into a situation where they're in a polyamorous relationship, open relationship. Basically, polyamory, that's just for the birds. Now, if you're a man and you have enough power and you have enough leverage to the point where you can have an open relationship with your woman, and it's a one-way open relationship as a man who has multiple women, that to me is a little bit different. And you know, some people might not agree with me, some people might agree with me, but I honestly don't think that that's the worst thing in the world. But you know, that's another video for another day. Obviously, I know women are probably, if any woman does see this video, they're probably gonna view it and be like, oh, that's a double standard, this double standard. Well, you know, life is filled with double standards. I think it's a double standard that women can get sex so much easier than men. So, you know, you don't see me complaining about that on a regular basis. But at the end of the day, guys, I would say the solution of dealing with all these toxic females is to get your leverage up. You have to get your leverage up in all aspects of your life. I don't like to just give you guys a problem and deal with, like, you know, saying that there's so many toxic women out there, or, you know, all these women are doing this or doing that, because not all women are doing this and doing that. Not all these women are toxic, and there's plenty of good women out there. You just have to decipher between who's the good ones, who's the bad ones, which women have the traits that work for you, which women have the traits that don't work for you, and which woman you want to completely stay away from altogether. But like I said, the solution to all this is to build up leverage in your life. You want to become the best version of yourself, starting with the physical version of yourself. You want to optimize your looks. You want to go work out. You want to get healthy. You want to be fit. You know, you want to have a good stamina, all that type of stuff. And you want to optimize your finances. You want to make sure you can stack your chips. You definitely want to make sure that you have your own place. You can't be one of these dudes who's still living at home with your parents. You can't be one of these dudes who's living with your homeboy or living off somebody else. And the worst thing that you could possibly do is be living off a woman. So you definitely don't want to be a dude who's living off a woman, because in that standpoint, you have absolutely no leverage, because you're living basically hanging on by a thread, and you have to go by the woman's set of rules if you're living up under her. So you never want to be living up under a woman. So guys, you want to create your leverage in life. Create your leverage with your physical fitness, with your finances, with your mental game. You want to make sure you acquire as much knowledge as possible. You want to get in tune with yourself, gain knowledge of self, get on knowledge yourself on a spiritual tip, knowledge yourself just as a person, and you know, optimize yourself in every single way possible. So I would say that's the best bet to gaining leverage. And once you do gain that leverage, you'll see that the quality of women that you attract is going to be a lot higher. And when you do deal with these quality women, when you do gain a little bit of leverage, they're going to get down with your program, because they're going to see that, hey, I can't find a dude like this everywhere, because this dude's at such a high level that you know, they're not just running around rampant like that. So I was watching a video the other day on YouTube, and there's a dude by the name of Coach Greg Doucette or something like that. I forget what his name is. But anyways, I was watching his channel, just randomly popped up into my feed, because I watch a lot of fitness content. And he was explaining about body fat percentages. And he was explaining that if you're a man who has a body fat percentage of under 16%, you're in the top 95th percentile of men. So that means 95% of men have a body fat percentage higher than 16%. So by getting under 16% body fat, you're creating a lot of leverage for yourself, that you're in better shape than 95% of men. So imagine if you can get yourself down to like 13% body fat, 12% body fat. you might be in the 98th, 99th percentile of men. So as far as physical fitness, you have a huge amount of leverage above all these other men, and you have a huge amount of leverage when it comes down to dealing with a woman, because more often than not, she's not going to be able to find a guy who's in as good a shape as you. And then the same thing goes for finances as well. You got to stack your chips, invest your chips, you know what I mean? Make sure that you guys are on top of your game. Get some skills together in order to be able to get a good job or create a business for yourself to where you can create an income for yourself, and just get your finances on point, because at the end of the day, we live in a pretty materialistic and superficial society. So most of the time when you're dealing with these women, the only two things that they're really going to care about is your physical appearance and your money anyways. Now, if you are able to get a woman based on the strength of the fact that you have a little bit of knowledge, or you have a little bit of game, or the fact that you've learned a lot and are a wise man and have gotten a lot of game over the course of your life, and that's a blessing. And I think that the more that you improve yourself on a physical, mental, and financial level, the more quality of woman that you're going to attract. But anyways, guys, I don't want to ramble on too long. I knew I was going to make a little bit of a long video today. Haven't made a video in a while, and I definitely wanted to chop it up about this subject because it was just glaring. I mean, it was just like 3 situations in a row that I had heard, like just super toxic conversations from these women. Or, you know, one of them was an Instagram thing, a social media thing, but the other ones were just conversations that I was hearing amongst these younger women, because I think this stuff is a lot more prevalent in the younger generation of women, because a lot of things that probably weren't socially acceptable when I was a little bit younger and I was maybe in my early 20s are just becoming super acceptable now, like promiscuous, like women being super promiscuous. That's something that was extremely frowned upon back in the days, maybe like 10-15 years ago. And nowadays women are actually boasting and bragging about how promiscuous they are and how great their sex game is. And for me personally, I want a woman who's classy in the streets and a freak in the sheets. So that way, you know, she conducts herself well, and, you know, anything sexual or anything, you know, private, you don't go around speaking about it to everybody. But when it comes down to you coming home to me, then, you know, you let your hair down. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. I actually want to dive into another aspect of this later, and I want to dive into the fact that a lot of dudes who are making these like travel content about going and dealing with women in other countries, that leverage game is a key component to the reason why they're able to, you know, maybe get such attractive women when they go to these other countries. Their leverage is the fact that the US dollar has so much more value than the currency of these other countries that they're going to. Because a lot of times if they go to different countries that have maybe a better economy, it's not going to be as easy for these dudes to peel women. Although most of the time I would say when you're, especially if you're a brother from America, you're going to do better when you're overseas, no matter where you're at, whether that's a country that has a good economy or maybe a country that's lacking in the economy, like a Brazil or a Colombia or Dominican Republic, these type of places. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave me a like. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. I'm going to be making a lot more content this month and going forward. I'm not going to be so busy. Also, make sure you check out my website. I did put in a lot of work on it. Did it myself, Travelsthenix.com. Check it out. If you guys want to book a consultation with me, go ahead and book a consultation with me. I'll holler at you guys later. I hope everybody's having a great day. Peace.
Another Mike D exclusive.